Hey guys, my name is Mary Jane, and today we are going to learn how we are going to write an overview for academic writing task 1. I do have my notes here. It's because I don't want to make a mistake for the video and for teaching you how you're going to write an overview. We need to be very tedious about this if we can. So let's get started. All right, so an overview. An overview is probably the most important paragraph in the whole essay. In fact, as we will see later on in the video, it is very difficult to score a 7 or even higher, or even get a good score if we don't have a good one. So, an overview is simply a summary of the main or most important points in a graph, chart, process, or map. It is normally 2 to 3 sentences long, and it should be found on the second paragraph of your essay. As we are going to see later on, it is also something that influences what you're going to write in the rest of your essay. We need to learn how to make a good one, and if you're able to do that, you will be more likely to get a good score. What does the examiner want? So, an overview is one of the first things that an examiner looks at because it shows them that you can identify the most important information from the graph or chart, and you're able to clearly identify overall trends and comparisons. If we look at the official marking scheme, as you can see on the slide, so the word overview is mentioned 3 times. So this means that to get at least a 5 for task achievement, we must get some kind or give some kind of overview. If we do not give any overview, we'll always get below 5. If we're going to select the appropriate data to include in our overview, we get a good, we have a good score of 6. And if it is clear, we get a 7 for this part of the exam. If you know how to select the appropriate data and you're able to practice writing a clear overview, then you are likely to get the score that you deserve in this section. So, what is an overview? So, first, to understand this, we must look at the question. The question for academic task is always the same. So, first thing, you have to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So, we therefore need to provide a short summary of the main features. You do this in the overview paragraph by picking out around 3 to 4 of the most significant things you can see and writing them in general terms. So, by general, I mean you do not support anything you see with data from the graph or chart. Just write about what you can see visually. So that's one thing that you need to remember. So just again, pick out 3 to 4 significant things, most significant things. So how do I select the correct features? To understand this, we have to think about the different types of graphs and charts that we might see. There are generally 2 different kinds of charts and graphs. So we call them dynamic and static. So you have there some dynamic charts or graphs. So dynamic charts show data over time, and static charts show data at just one point in time. So this will affect the type of data we select. So for example, we have here when we are looking at dynamic graphs, we should be looking out for the following. So what does the data do from the start to the finish? Do they generally go up or down, or do they fluctuate? Are there any significant difference from the general trend? Was there overall increase or decrease? Were there peaks or lows? But when we're going to look at static graphs, it's a bit different. So we should be looking for what are the highest or the lowest in values, what are the most notable differences, were there any similarities, or were there any significant exceptions? Is there any special grammar? So you should try and make more complex sentences by making a subordinate clause. Complex sentences are sentences with more than one clause, and they usually help increase our marks in the grammatical range of the marking criteria. You can easily make a subordinate clause structure in the overview if you're going to join two pieces of information with the words while, although, with, even though, whereas, or and. However, you have to make sure that you know the meaning of these words and you know how are they correctly used in a sentence. So that's another thing that's very important. How does an overview fit in the rest of my essay? The overview should be the second paragraph of a four-paragraph structure. So as you can see here on the slide, we have four different paragraphs. First thing you need to remember, paragraph 1 should be the paraphrase sentence. So I will be making a video about how you're going to paraphrase sentences. Next one, paragraph 2 would be the overview. Paragraphs 3 and 4 should be your details. Shouldn't I write a conclusion? No. Conclusions are really a summary of what you think or opinions. So better leave these out for your task 2. This is not an opinion essay and you therefore do not need to write a conclusion. Just remember that. So what we can see on the slide, this is an example of how the structure should be. So the overview is in yellow. Notice that the most significant or noticeable or important features are talked about and they are generally in the overview. So there's no data overview for this one. However, features were taken from the overview and supported them with data in paragraphs 3 and 4.